So looking at the actual stock market right now and silver and gold, we're seeing a bit of a correction happening right now, especially with the silver price, also the stock market right now. So the thing I really want to guide you down through today is one, what's going on right now, but also secondly, when will this correction end? We know there's a correction on the way, especially in the silver price. We know that there's a correction just starting when it comes to the good old stock market, and that's what I want to share with you in today's video and give you some tools to really think about. Now, the first thing that I always like to do for myself to see what's really going on right now. One of the worst mistakes I did, I've been trading the markets now for 20 years, and one of the worst mistakes I always did was looking at the current daily charts on a short-term basis. What does that mean? That means if I bring up, say, this chart here or this chart here, I would zoom right in and I would be zooming, especially like zooming right in right here. Right, so my biggest mistakes that I always made was always looking at things on a too short-term level basis, too short-term. And I couldn't really see what's called the forest from the trees. And so I was always reactive to the short-term movements from here, but not really understanding where are we when it comes to just the cycle of things of how these markets operate, how they work, and what's likely to come next. So what I'm always trying to do on a everyday basis is trying to see where are we right now. And the reason why I'm like that now is because I'm looking for more opportunities that could last a couple of months, maybe even up to 6 months sometimes, of trading opportunities. Why? Because my personal trading, the way that I personally trade now, is I don't like to trade a lot throughout the year, but I do like to get into a trade that I can hold for 2 or 3 months and have a really big profit. I found that just one really good trade over 2 months can trump taking 10 trades in a month looking for smaller profits. And plus it's less stressful and so on and so forth. So the thing for me, and one thing that I really want to encourage you to do, is firstly, you see how there's a lot of stuff on the charts here, right? There's moving averages, there's my Fibonacci level, there's a lot of stuff going on here. One thing I'm always trying to do myself is, okay, let's actually bring this back to large picture. Large picture. Now, what is this? This is simply just a blank chart. There's nothing on here apart from trend lines, but there's nothing on here apart from trend lines, and it's just black open, hollow, closed charts. That's all I've got on this chart. Now, one of the things that I do know is when I step back and I look at the forest from the trees, it helps me understand what is going on right now in this particular market. So if we are starting to get a drop to the downside, let's bring it back to the monthly charts to see what's going on. 1, 2, how much of a correction could we start to see? And also 3, when will the correction end if we're looking to buy this market or looking to get into some really good trading opportunities? And so the thing for me is I'm always looking at the market as a perspective of where we are right now. So the first thing I'm always saying is the trend is your friend until the end. Now, what that simply means is, as you can see here from a monthly chart perspective, everything we've been through the Trump, through the COVID, through the recession fears back in 2023, everything there, you can see here that the market has continued to generate these strong higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows all through here, higher low, and even with the whole tariff scare. So every single time we've had these drops, and they may be for a month or 2, you can see by stepping back from this big large picture, it helps me understand what's going on. So the purpose of me bringing this chart up for you is to show you that if we do get, say, a 10% drop right now in the stock market on the S&P, let's zoom right in right now and let's see where that would be if we did get a 10% drop on the markets. A 10% drop there would be around about the 5,000 level there, right? So it'd be around about this level through here that we did get a 10% drop. Now, let's just say we did get that. Now, what does that actually look like? If I go to my daily charts once again, this is where flicking between longer term charts and shorter term charts. The longer term charts just give you a real good picture. Okay, this is what's going on right now. No need to sort of freak out. So if we look at our longer term charts from here, This is the daily charts from here. You can see I've actually got Fibonacci levels. So the Fibonacci levels here, from that low point to high point, is actually roughly around this sort of 56. That's the 50% Fibonacci. That's probably where the maximum I see this thing having a drop down to. Now that is more, that, as you can see, that's about a 10 or so percent drop from where we are right now. So I don't think we're going to do that, but that's actually what we could start to see. But if we did get that on the downside, on this chart here, let's go back to the big picture. Let's see what actually that looks like. So we're looking at this here from a big long-term chart perspective. If we did get a drop to the downside and we saw this happening here over the next, say, 2 months. Let's say it does that for 2 months. Well, has anything really changed on the big picture? And the answer is no. Why? Because when we zoom right out, this here is what? Is probably going to be another one of these, another one of these, another one of these, right? This here. Now, when I show this chart, for traders that are short-term trading, traders that are like, I don't really give a crap about this monthly chart, John. I'm looking to make money this week. And I promise you, if that is your strategy, meaning you're looking to make money every single week in this market here, it's been very, 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 very difficult because of the volatility. You need to have the opportunities to, for me personally, this is the way that I personally trade now, is if I can get in, if I can wait for this drop over the next couple of months and then have a really big, strong fourth quarter, which would look something like this, and then the market would then start to hold here, and then we could start to see another big, strong rally coming out of it, right? So we can see that through there, right? We can see how this market has, that's what's going on there. We have a drop to the downside, and then we have a rally to the upside. So for me, I'm more about how do I wait for this opportunity to get involved with it, right? And so that's what I'm seeing from there, from that perspective there. Big drop to the downside. So what I'm seeing overall right now is, yes, we are going through a correction, and we're probably going to go through a lot more of a correction. When will the correction end? My guesstimate, if I bring up, say, this is a weekly chart now, as you can see. We actually had a very strong move for the last, what is that there? What's that? 3 months, almost basically 4 months worth of upward movement. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see 1 to 2 months worth of correction, 50% retracement, so on and so forth. But then I see ultimately, once again, let me bring on, say, this monthly chart here. This is a monthly chart here. Then I ultimately see the overall major trend continuing, as you can see, right? We've had just really, now this particular chart here, I'll show you. This particular chart here that I'm showing you right now is a rhythmic chart, okay? A rhythmic chart. And then we have this particular chart here is more about logarithmic chart. So the arithmetic chart, as you can see here, is very, very, very strong to the upside. Very strong to the upside, big movements, and so on and so forth. And so we can just see that we've actually had a really nice high, low, high, low, high. We're probably going to come down through to here and then start to make a move back to the upside from the S&P. And so once again, if I go back to my logarithmic chart, you can see where we're at right now. So even if we did get a small little drop here, 10% drop, all that would be would be something that looked like that. If that happens, you look at this thing here, right? We're having a very big, strong bull market to go through here. And so when we look at this level here, right, and we go through this level here, we can see even from a Dow Jones perspective, if the Dow Jones has a small drop, I believe the Dow Jones, as you can see from my longer term charts, the Dow Jones has been a very strong big bull market overall for the last 10 years or more, right? What is that? Well, actually longer than that, right? Longer than that. So, but each very big bull market in the Dow Jones has been around about 16 years, give or take a few years, right? So I believe we have another 5 years to go. We're 12 years in, right? So we have another, I reckon another 4 to 5 years ago of very big bull market. But within that, what do we get? We get these drops here, and they are 20% plus sometimes corrections in the markets, but then we continue up, continue up, continue up. So see that through there? So that's the first thing I do see is when it comes to the good old stock market from there. Always be looking at the big picture and then just using simple trend analysis, okay? Using simple trend analysis. And if we continue making these high lows, and just remember, the number one thing to trading is, there's a saying, the trend is your friend until the end, okay? But what is a trend? A trend is the market goes up for a month or two, but then the market has to come down if it's going to form a higher low. What is a higher low? The market goes down for a bit. If this was 4 months of upward movement, we might go down for 1 or 2 months, then create a higher low, and then we go back up again. And then we have a bit of a sideways movement here, and then we create another higher low. The market has to come down to create a higher low. That's what a very big, strong bull market is. And so therefore, a correction right now, if you just look at this from a big picture, this is a weekly chart now on, say, I'll bring on the S&P to give a bit more of an example here. A correction in the markets is just actually one, it's due, strung up. A correction in the markets now over the next couple of months is what? Is one, it's due because we go through these swings. But also, secondly, this is pulling back now to have a high probability of just creating a higher low, and then we have a very strong fourth quarter from there. So when we look at things like silver, right? Silver right now is in a correction territory. It's actually had a drop to the downside. But what's going on here? Firstly, do the same analysis here, right? I see some people saying, John, what about this market? What about this market? I'm teaching you the techniques to use so you can go do it on any market out there. Go do it on the oil market. Use the same techniques I'm using right now so you can do this, right? But if I'm looking at silver right now and I'm seeing what's happening, is this A, the end of the move, or B, is it just a correction? Well, let's go to the markets here. Low, we had a drop, higher low, up, higher low, same low, up, 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 and now we're just getting this through here. So, one, at this time, we are still generating these significant higher low periods. So it's probably going to be another one of those higher low periods. That's the first thing. So this is just a correction out of silver. Now, how long would this last? This could last another couple of months of a drop to the downside. Why? Because if I squeeze my charts up through here, you can see that there's that major level of support. So what could be forming right now is more weakness out of silver. We could be forming that. We may not, right? But it can come down here for another week or 2 or 3, right? Come back down to this level here. So we may have another couple of more weeks. Maybe through August is going to be completely weak. And then maybe through September, October, we're going to pick back up again. But that's probably what's going to happen. I just don't know how that's going to happen. Is it going to be now we hold and pause and go to the upside? Or are we going to continue to have a bit more weakness to the downside? And all that's going to be is just continuing this overall upward movement from here when it comes to this trend analysis. So as you can see, simple trend analysis. One, if we're in a higher high, a higher low environment, and we get a drop to the downside, like we do in the stock market, like we are in silver, you need to understand, you step back and look at the big picture and say, okay, is this the end where the market's going to keep freaking out? Or B, is this just a short-term correction? And right now in silver's probably just a short-term correction. Now, short-term simply means over the next month, we can actually have a lot more weakness to the downside. So silver right now could be on the verge of having another 10, maybe even up to say a 10% correction out of the silver price. We may actually get that, right? This is where weakness can come into it here. And you just got to be sort of there. I don't believe this is the end of the move because of what we're seeing through here. I see this very big breakout. And so that's what we're seeing from there. So the fourth quarter this year is probably going to be really, really, really strong for the silver price when it comes to that level from there. Now, when we use the same analysis on gold, gold is what? Gold has just continued to make these strong higher lows, right? Strong higher lows, strong higher lows. So higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and higher lows. So as long as the market keeps doing that and this is where it's important to really keep an eye on the big picture, right? What is big picture? Weekly charts, monthly charts. And this is where, once again, for those traders who are hoping for a good move this week, and you're buying short-term options as an example, say on the SLV price, or you're looking for a short-term move, that's definitely not the best way to trade these markets, especially this year, right? Some of these trades need, like all of my really successful trades have taken a couple of weeks to filter through, like get into it, and it does nothing, or it might go against me for a week or two. And then suddenly within a month and a half later of getting into the trade, the market's making a really big move. So all of my really big profits have come off the back of getting in, and it sort of goes against me a little bit. And then we have a really big move. So you guys that are short-term trading, getting in, getting out with a couple of days, it's been one of the most difficult things you can do when it comes down to your trading approach. And that's the reason why, guys, I personally run what's called a 1% group. The 1% group is all the traders in there are part of what's called the 1% of all traders around the world. And I'm with them for a couple of hours every single day, coaching them, guiding them through all of these markets from here. If you do need some help like that, you need some more hand-holding help like that, it's by application only. There should be that second link in the description there. You can go click on that, and when you apply for it, you'll be personally speaking to me, and we'll have a good chat, and we'll see if you're a good fit for what's called my 1% group. It's only a real small group right now. Right now, as I speak, it's just over 10 people in that group, so it's a real small group, and I keep it that way. But if you're really serious about this, then my 1% group is definitely the next step for you. Or if you just want to know more about how I trade the markets and my trading strategy, then I'm running a webinar today, and that's the first link in the description. You can go click on that, go join my next webinar, and on that webinar, I'll talk to you more about my story of how I was $250,000 in debt, what got me back, my trading strategy I used, how I scan the markets, and so much more. Speak to you soon, guys.